Do you ever struggle with work-life balance? On today's video, we're going to break it down, so let's get into it. Now, one of the things I've noticed just throughout my working career, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of mentors in my life, a lot of mentors who have different levels of success. And by success, that can mean different things to different people, right? Success could be money, success could be influence. Um, but one of the things I really measure when it comes to success is time, right? Typically, people who have created enough assets and created enough businesses to where they have the time to do the things that they want to do, move how they want to move, drive what they want to drive, live how they want to live. I look at that as success because time is the one thing that we all have a limited amount of. You can always get more money, but you can never get more time. You know, whatever you've already done in the past, you can't go back and correct that. But the biggest thing is really what I've done is studied the different mentors that I've had in my life, and across the board with all of them, they all tell me the same thing about in regards to work-life balance, that it's just seasons in their life, right? And during these seasons, it's just all work. There is no balance. It's just not. I mean, if you want to achieve that high level of success, the balance part is going to suffer along the journey. In most cases, I mean, there are rare situations where maybe you can kind of work things out and have quote unquote balance, but every single one of my mentors that I have on my phone have reached that level of success that I'm attaining to reach, right? They've all told me the same thing. You know, it was just work. Now, it doesn't mean you completely neglect your family. You know, us being fathers, we have to make sure that we still have time to spend with our family, time to invest in our family. But it might mean a lot less of taking, 3 or 4 vacations a year, or it could mean a lot less of just sitting around the house and having nothing time. You know, I think the time has to be a lot more intentional that we spend with our kids and our family, because, we know what the ultimate goal is. The ultimate goal is to reach whatever that level of success we want to reach. However, we can't do what the average person does. I've heard different studies talking about the average person watches, over 3 or 4 hours of TV per day and stuff like that. Might be even higher than that. Whereas, like, what I've noticed is the mentors I've had and I've studied and I've watched very closely, they cut a lot of distractions out. I have a mentor right now, probably the one I'm closest to. Doesn't know anything about sports. Doesn't care about sports. Couldn't name 10 sports teams. That's just not his thing. But he's about his business. And he drives what he wants to drive. He has a plane. He lives on the beach. And that was a decision that he made in his 20s and 30s and 40s. And now he's living that lifestyle, right? So it really just depends on what our ultimate goal is. But it's a season. So as we're going through this season, we got to understand that it's not going to be forever, right? It's not going to be something where you're going to have to work forever if you do it the right way. Now, on the flip side, you got to think about it for individuals who are spending more of their time on the pleasure side than the work side. You got to hope that they put some structures in place so that they don't have to work until retirement age. That's the other thing. A lot of my mentors, by the time they were in their 40s, they were done. They didn't have to work. Now, some of them continued to work, but it was by choice, not by force, not by financial pressures. So it really just depends on how we want to do this thing. But it is seasons. So we got to keep that in mind. There's different seasons in our life. And like I said, all of my millionaire mentors have gone through this season of work. And there's no deadline or time frame of how long that's going to be, because every industry is different, every person is different, every situation is different. But you got to be focused, be disciplined during that season of work. Of, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do so that later in life I can move and live and travel and spend time with my family how I want to do it. Now, the thing that some people struggle with is, well, tomorrow's not promised. So, you there's no guarantee that you're going to be here 10 years from now to have those experiences that you're putting off because you're focusing on work. And that's true. But the thing is, those 10 years are going to go by anyways. The 10 years are going to go by anyways. Let's look at how fast 10 years just went by now. For a lot of us, I think I'm approaching almost 20 years out of high school. I'm like, where did that time go? Like, the time is going to go anyway. So it's important to make sure that we are efficient with that time and make sure that we're doing the things and putting the right things in place so that once we get to that next block of time, we can see some results from it, right? And one of those things is buying assets over liabilities. And for a lot of us millennials, we kind of grew up in that. We grew up in that bling bling cash money area, right? So for some of us, we struggle with making sure that we have the assets we need to live the lifestyle we want to live, but we want to also make sure that we're living a certain lifestyle, and that could be a trap. I'm gonna just come out and say it. Like, now is not the time for all that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with celebrating your success. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's how you do it, right? If you want to go out and buy a $20,000 chain or $50,000 watch, drive a $200,000 car, that's great. But you got to make sure your assets are paying for that liability. Assets meaning things that pay you money, liabilities meaning things that cost you money. Things, and I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of us men, fathers, millennials struggle with. So if we could just get to a place where we're saying, you know what, I'm in this season of work right now. I'm sacrificing time that I could be spending with my kids right now. But at the same time, I'm buying these assets. I'm buying these different, whether that's rental properties, whether that's dividend producing stocks. It could be those. It could also be business assets, right? Finding different ways of acquiring businesses that work without us having to put the work in. Because that's another thing. We have to understand that our time on earth is very limited. But even more limited than that is our bodies, right? We can only put so much work on our body. But it's not a situation where we can, we can like try to work 2 or 3 jobs at a time, but that's going to lead to burnout. And it might even lead to health issues down the line. So you got to think about that. So when you're buying these different assets, think about different ways you can have something paying you without you having to work for it. Right? That's another one of the keys to success I see from all my mentors. They all have that in common as well. They are done. They're at a point. They went through that season of work. And now they no longer physically work unless they want to. Some do, but unless they want to, now it's just more of having the assets that pay them so that they can live the lifestyle that they want to live. And I think that all comes back to being able to leverage your time. And there's different ways you can leverage your time. But buying assets is one of the best ways to leverage your time. So just going back to the whole work-life balance thing, for most of us, if we're earlier in the stage, we're in the season of work. There's not balance. Now, one of my mentors that I talk to every month, we discuss this on a regular basis. And the thing that he really tells me about this is that it's not really focusing on work-life balance, because you're going to be unbalanced. But if you can create harmony, right? Yeah, my mentor, Mr. Flint, he tells me if you can create harmony between your work and your life, meaning it may not be balanced, but it flows, right? It flows to where, like you're working at this time and it flows into that time that you're spending with your kids, or it flows into that time you're spending with your woman, right? And it may not be equal. It's not going to be, 8 hours here, 8 hours here. It might be 10 hours here, 6 hours there, but it flows to where, you can make them both work. They're not going to be balanced, but you can have harmony. So that's definitely one of the biggest things to factor in when you're thinking about that, and leveraging your time. But just stay positive, y'all. This is the time of work. This is the time that we're building our legacy, our family. And that should motivate us, right? That should motivate us to work even harder, work smarter, be more efficient with our time, because we're building a legacy. And if we put the right assets into place while we're in this season of work, it's going to all be worth it. And then you can leave those assets to your children so that they don't have to start from the ground, right? They don't have to get it out the mud. Like that's not something we should brag about in our community, right? We shouldn't be bragging about I got it out the mud. Like a lot of us have, but it doesn't mean now that we have that knowledge, we don't need our kids doing that. We need our kids being in a different position where they already have financial literacy. Let's start there. Before we give them any financial assets, they got to have the literacy. And that starts with us as the fathers having the financial literacy. Understand the difference between an asset and a liability. Understand the importance of creating the generational wealth, which creates the time so that you can really enjoy those experiences. Because once you understand that, then it's just a process of, okay, how fast can I build this up so I can have more time to enjoy with those that I love, right? So I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for watching this video. For more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and just stay encouraged. Stay encouraged, stay positive. It's gonna happen. It's not gonna be easy. There's not gonna be balance. I'll just be straight up with you. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. Don't give up. Don't give up. Praying for your success, praying for your family. And until next time, just keep going. Just keep going. Look at the big picture. One day we're gonna be there. But we gotta work. We're in the season of work. That said, let's go get it. See you in the next video.